All right, all right. Greetings, greetings. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you all are wonderful. Hope you all are having a beautiful day. Haki Ami, the Success Scholar. Thank you for listening in. For those that are following me on my Facebook, of course, definitely thank you. For those following on YouTube, definitely can follow my YouTube page, of course, Raising Consciousness and Capital as on YouTube as well on Facebook. Facebook group is Raising Consciousness and Capital as well. So I have the distinct honor here today, Saturday, May the 19th now. You know, it's a special day. My little sister's birthday is today, but I had to do this today, and so I'm going to get back and get with her this week. But I am live in Massenuten, Massenuten, Virginia, for a leadership training retreat that we're going to do here in Virginia. And I have a brother, I've known this brother for over 20 years, and he's doing phenomenal work and healing the community, building the community, and creating institutions so that we can be of service. None other than brother Mwalimu Curtis Warren. And you know, I've been wanting to get this interview, so it's just perfect. Hopefully, you all will see the view and enjoy the view that we have here. It's peaceful here. Um, you know, we just out of winter, but we are in Virginia, so it's a little bit warmer, possibly than Maryland, Baltimore area. But so welcome, brother. How you feeling, my brother?
I'm feeling really strong. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful day.
Yes.
I
Right.
wasn't
Right.
expecting it to be this nice,
Yeah.
but
Right. 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 Yes.
Virginia is awesome, and we have the opportunity to be on the grid and yet off the grid at the
I say.
same
I say.
time.
Right. Right.
Really coming this weekend for a whole week of
Mm-hmm.
leadership training geared towards the youth,
Right.
scouts, both male and female, taking them on a vision quest and also a rites of passage,
Mm.
introducing survival skills,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
introducing foraging. We have indigenous people that come to
Right.
instruct. We have a lot of talented, gifted artists, drummers,
Mm-hmm.
singers, and people that are really just going to intervene and really pour into our young people
Yes.
this week. I'm going to do a brief introduction to some survival skills.
All right.
I
All right.
met the success scholar many years ago when we were both in the military
Mm-hmm.
training. And I'm taking that training of being a combat veteran and bringing it in the most practical way to our children
Right.
and allowing them to get some of these skills, talents, and ability and employ them in their own personal life because
Mm-hmm.
we understand that the shield is not made on the battlefield.
Right.
So in this peacetime, when many people are resting, we're training.
Right.
And I
Right.
think it's
Right.
the
Yes, sir.
paradigm that we need to really focus on
Mm.
and really pass that. I'm not going to pass the torch. I'm
Mm.
going to light their torch.
I
I'm
say. I
going to
say.
allow the gifts and the skills that the creator and the ancestors has blessed me with, and I'm going to light the torch of our young people,
Mm.
inspiring them to be the best that they can be. So it's an honor to be out on such a beautiful day
Yes.
and be
Yes.
with my
Yes.
big brother, and we're just going to enjoy it.
Yes. Yes. So definitely, it's good to get some clean air. You know, sometimes you just got to get away and breathe some fresh air. Those of us that live in urban environments, we are kind of bombarded with the bus system, polluting the air, and really just being amongst like-minded individuals. And I can't think of no other better place to sacrifice for than for our young people. And so we're gonna hopefully talk to some young people, interviewing them throughout the week while we're here. But just so I can know that, just so I can share. So the Teaching Artist Institute. This is, of course, many people know this is the 200th anniversary of Harriet Tubman. Many of you have seen different events. As a matter of fact, shout out to the Reginald F. Lewis Museum. We will be live here in Massanutten, Virginia, but tomorrow, Monday, there will be a virtual exhibit that they have of Harriet Tubman. So just want to shout out that, and that's Monday at 7 p.m. So we're going to have a group of young people coming from both the Baltimore area as well as uh, Ohio, possibly Cleveland, maybe some from Columbus, but definitely from Cleveland, Ohio. So we're looking forward to them. They will be here tomorrow. And we also, in Brother and Mwalimu, we got the kayaks, ready. We wanted to bring four, but we ran out of room. So it's like, all right, we got three kayaks here. We got the paddles. I know you used to do like
Yeah, definitely,
kayaking. What happened to
definitely.
your kayak? You have kayak? I remember because you were like, you
Listen,
want to buy this man or something.
right.
I think we
I
went
have
to yeah.
canoes
Oh, that's what it was. Canoe. That's
and,
different than a kayak, right?
inflatable
Okay.
kayaks.
Yeah.
So, we talk about this shield not made on the battlefield. We understand that
Right.
the planet Earth is three-fourths water.
Mm.
So, in the
Yeah.
case of a natural disaster, we need to be able to not just deal with field and land navigation. We want to be able to utilize the waterways to move.
Right.
Is that
Right.
right?
Right.
So, in doing that, I thought it was important that I learned how to be a coxswain. So, not
Mm.
only do I know how to drive a boat,
Oh,
right?
right. Oh no.
I also
Right.
deal with
Okay.
small watercrafts and different things like
Oh
that
wow.
and water
Beautiful. Beautiful.
safety. I also teach first aid and CPR right up my big brother's
Yeah,
alley
no, when we
and for
supposed
the
to touch
wilderness.
on that, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can chime in there, and I let it be known, and just seek for clarity. I mean, you can teach CPR. I know they have different levels of
Mhm.
officials, so I had to let Kim know. Well, I don't want people to put out that we are certifying because I don't know if you're a
Right.
CPR certified
Right,
instructor,
right, right.
but
So,
yeah,
so
I
I
wasn't.
am a certified CPR
Oh, okay.
instructor,
Oh, that's what's up.
and
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
definitely ramp this training up.
Okay,
Definitely
no
when we
problem.
do the 3-day courses, we would like for our young people to walk away from this experience with some type of certification.
Right,
So
right.
we're gonna do some wilderness CPR, some wilderness first aid,
Mm,
and it's really important that they have some skills and just something hard to say, hey, when I went on this leadership, I came away not just with some experiences, but I came away with some certification.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
CPR may seem very rudimentary, but I guarantee you having those skills when it's needed. So we rather have the skills and never use them than not have the skills and really need them and not be properly trained. So we're going to cover the whole some bases. We're just going
Right.
to cover our bases. Yeah, yeah.
Mm. No, sounds cool, brother. So, in terms of, I mean, I know I can speak for myself. Growing up in Baltimore, I didn't get these opportunities. I don't know how how it was in Pittsburgh in terms of just in terms of the consciousness level or just our abilities or as adults giving back and sacrificing our time, because ultimately we may not totally, it's not like, we're trying to make money off of or get rich, shall I say, off of teaching our young people or being an example. So some things are not necessarily directly, a profit motive per se, but ultimately by saving our young people and just really letting them be around us, those of us who have been to different parts of the world. Like you've probably been to more places than me because you were on a sea, what they call it, you were on a seafaring ship. I was on a aircraft carrier that didn't go nowhere for a long time, but we went a few places. So, but talk about that.
Yeah,
With some of the places that you've been, brother, like I mean, but you in the army too, so
yeah. I mean,
so
my
just
experiences is so funny. As black men, after Vietnam, not post Vietnam era of black men came
mm,
back,
mm-hmm,
and they really, uh, because of the draft, they really wasn't educated about military sciences.
mm, mm,
What happened was they were forced into an unjust war or conflict, and they really didn't look favorable and understand the skills that they were learning, and more importantly, how to apply them, and
mm-hmm.
then how to monetize them.
Right.
So the disconnect, one of the things that were different between me and you in terms of our military experience, we didn't went into a voluntary military service. So no one drafted us. We went there voluntarily, and I went with the sole purpose of learning things
Mm.
in the military that I could come back and teach my community.
Right.
So in doing that, I mean, I've been to Africa,
Mm.
I've been to the Middle East, I've been to Iraq, I've been to Kuwait,
Wow.
I've
Wow.
been to Italy, I've been to Spain, I've been to Germany,
Mm.
I've been to the Ukraine.
Right.
I've been to a lot of different
Ukraine? For
places.
real?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Damn, where they
I've
war
been
at right now?
right, right, where they
Oh
warring
shit.
at right now. And when I went there, it really looked like I was stepping back into time, right?
In what context? Which I mean, like.
Oh wow, it was just so funny. The women, the way they dressed, it was almost like a black and white movie.
Mm.
So
Wow.
everything was very much monotone in terms of monochromatic in terms of the dress, uh, the architecture. It was very primitive, and
Mm.
just being able to travel outside of the country and coming from an Afrocentric lens and being able to evaluate things is very different. So even though I was traveling via the military, I was still coming with a pro-black African-centered
Mm.
lens.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very important because people don't realize, Brother Hakeem, that when we were in the military, we met a lot of conscious people. We met at an African-centered bookstore,
Mm-hmm.
and we met many conscious African-centered sailors, soldiers, Marines right there in that bookstore.
Mm.
And we were able to network. So I've known this brother since 1996
Mm-hmm.
when we
Mm-hmm.
met in Norfolk, Virginia. We were both sailors in the U.S. Army. And this brother did something very, I think, brave and courageous. And I still give him credit for this day. I mean, to this day. I think back then my attribute was Daoud. But
Right.
this
Right.
brother
Right. Right.
came in being in the service, active duty, and changed his name to Haki Shakur Ami, right? And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
powerful. We got to give him credit because imagine, I don't even, the brother, I've known the brother as Haki so long, I don't even know what his slave name was. But I thought it was brave. So I was going around perpetrating with the attribute and different things like this. And this brother said, man, it's important that we reclaim our identity. And he was coming from a very cultural and nationalistic view. He said, anytime someone else names you,
Mm-hmm.
they own you.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
not only, so I was just using the attribute when I was around black people. This
Right.
brother went around the Navy, white people, his officers, and he changed his name in the military. And I think that declaration makes him brave because I knew the pushback
Mm-hmm.
that he received. So I
Mm-hmm.
knew that when this brother was in the U.S. Navy and changed his name to Haki Shakur Ami, that was a declaration of defiance.
Right. Right.
Some may thought it was treasonous. The
Right.
brother got a lot of pushback. I
Yeah.
remember you were
Yeah.
in Jabal Ali.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
was in Jabal Ali, and I got a postcard from him, man, and it said, "The brother Daoud, I'm over here, I'm still fighting my battles." Signed, Haki Ami. I think that's
Right.
powerful, and we always give him credit. And again, that was back in 1996 that I met this brother,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, "I'm going back to Baltimore," and he said, "I'm going to go back and raise my people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go
Mm-hmm.
back and teach my people how to be successful. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
find a way to intervene with our people. I'm going to find programs. I'm going to network, and I'm going to connect with people, and I'm going to make my city better." And like he
Mm-hmm.
said, I'm from Pittsburgh. I didn't know anybody in the Baltimore area.
Mm-hmm.
I found him because he's the only person that I knew in the area, and I was able to connect with the brother since 1996.
Mm-hmm.
And when I
Mm-hmm.
came here, I think in '99, we was able to connect. And again, that's over 20 years ago.
Right.
Almost 25 years ago that we have connected, and the brother has not stopped since.
Right.
And
Right.
I think we need to celebrate and give our brothers that make the time and the sacrifice for our people that level of recognition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when we come together to do things in collaborations and bring in our skills to pour in to our young people, we don't take it, we're not looking at how we monetize it. What we're
Mm-hmm.
looking at is doing our duty and building institutions So the young people that we took on this rites of passage, that
Mhm.
they will
Mhm.
step up and they will be the instructors and they will bring their skills and their talents and they will pour into the
Mhm.
next generation. And that's the reciprocity. We do this thankless job because we want reciprocity.
Right.
We believe in mayat. We
Mhm.
believe in balance, but we believe that you have to give it in order to receive it.
Mhm.
So we have been the recipients of so many wise scholars that we done sat with,
Mhm.
over the years. Dr. Ben, you know, just the whole plethora
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
scholars, man,
Mhm.
that we have sat with and interviewed and talked to, and now, we're coming of age where we have so much world experience and so
Mhm.
much shared experience, having the opportunity to really come and be with these young people this week is just it's just an honor to be able to give and to light the
Right.
torch of those that is coming after us, and that reciprocity and that continuity. We just ask that the ancestors bless our endeavor and that the
Right.
circle will be unbroken.
Powerful, powerful. That's a good book by Mama Marimba. I need you definitely check that out. So interesting. I was some years ago. Many people may not know how I was inspired to change my name. I read Hakeem Metabuddy's book, Black Men Single, Dangerous, Obsolete, and one key thing he said that reading should be like eating and sleeping, and so I did that. I tried to mimic that because it made sense in the context of feeding both your physical body as well as your mental and emotional body. There's sciences on emotional intelligence today, so
Mm,
we have to be able to discern that how our emotions affect our intelligence. But with that being said, I recall reading, and it may have been in that particular book, or it may have been in his enemy's book, or from Plan to Planets. But he mentioned, and this is part of how the vision. He mentioned in terms of just how to. I mean, looking at the rites of passage model, and I've read a lot of different rites of passage. What's the name? Paul. Somebody has a
Hill, yeah, Paul
yes,
Hill,
yes,
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 sir.
yes, yes. Mount Barbadero out of Baltimore. I recall some years ago they had a rites of passage conference at the Reginald Lewis Museum.
Mm,
But going back to the Hakeem Metabuddy's book in terms of and he was talking about how we needed to have alternatives to the prison system, right?
mm,
And he theorized about having former corrections, former military coaches for these types of getaways, these types of retreats,
mm,
as well as even so to whatever degree working with the juvenile justice systems to say, hey, look, judge, let's get some people, bring let us bring them out for 1 week, get them out of the way, and let us sort of kind of drill them and train them up, and this is what I
mm,
realized. I mean, we have to look and understand that children, young people, for instance, they 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 respond to their environment like anyone else.
mm-hmm,
No one is born and say that they want to be a crack dealer. Like where you see what I'm saying? Nobody comes up, but what is creating the mindset to respond in this way to put a poison in your body? I mean, for thousands of
mm-hmm,
thousands of years, people didn't want to kill themselves. So what
mm-hmm,
is going on with that? So for those of us who are conscious, aware, and just don't accept the chemical warfare, for instance, in the juvenile justice system, not just the juvenile justice system, but the prison industrial system that disproportionately affects, for instance, many black men. It's like, okay, particularly for they have the nonviolent, how people are doing various types of things monetary things, to survive. Because ultimately, if people don't have resources, they're gonna plot ways to get what they need to in order to survive. So that was an idea that I kept in the back of my mind. Okay, for those that, I mean, it's cool to have, for instance, a rites, a passage.
Hmm.
They are definitely needed, but sometimes, peer pressure can be something, powerful. I mean, we have some good young people here this time, of course. I mean, well, we will have the Cleveland group coming.
Hmm.
So hopefully we can, kind of train them up and, have some small conversations. Because sometimes it's like we just plant seeds strategically. We
Right.
know that, I mean, and I hear a lot of teachers, for instance, say, and I'm sure your wife, share the same similar, thoughts that,
Hmm.
we can teach something all day, but when they go home at night, we got to teach it the next day, or they go home for a weekend
Hmm.
and they forgot everything because there's no reinforcement.
I,
So
I think I understand. I think I
yeah,
get it.
so we start
Yeah.
where we can ultimately,
Hmm.
but it, may not save everybody all the time, but we can plant those seeds because these are memorable experiences. I
Hmm.
can reflect back. I mean, some small things. I remember going out because the Lexington Market. And I'll come to you, and and I just grabbed the guy's incense and. I think he might have been like a Orthodox Muslim or maybe a Hebrew Israelite or maybe even a New Wapian. And he said, "Steal from others, not from brothers." And I was like 16 years old, and you know, I just remembered that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like you remember the conscious cultural people, for instance, that plant some. I mean, however that may sound, I mean, to some people, like, why you gonna teach somebody to steal from others, not from brothers? I mean, I know some people probably gonna say that, but ultimately, I've heard, and I'll just give you this example. There was some movie where it was a blind black man, and he was talking to some white prisoner, and they were in prison, and he said, "I'm gonna sell drugs to every white person in the world and his mother." I mean, I don't know if you saw that,
No, I'm
but
not familiar with them.
but I don't know. But he was a blind, like Kingpin or something.
Okay.
But and he still talking about selling. I mean, but it made me think like, damn, that's deep. To say, that although how the global system is set up for our communities to really be the brunt of the drug trade, and where white crack addicts, for instance, can come into urban environments and buy their small amounts of drugs. I mean, when you think about who profits, who benefits, you know, uh, it's bigger people, Wall Street bankers
Mm.
and other people, So that's the deep. But go ahead, brother. Add on. I know I
Yeah,
said a lot. I know
yeah,
I said a
yeah.
lot.
Uh, so let's go back to, I guess, one of your first points. I think that so coming into consciousness, my first real rites of passage really started with the Nation of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes the Nation of Islam's rites of passage becoming the FOI and going through the process of getting your X
Mm-hmm.
uh, powerful is that what they're attempting to do
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
is to give you a new culture and a new moral code,
Mm-hmm.
and not in a way that it becomes an artificial construct.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes a part of your walk. It becomes a part of your way of life. So they give you what is called the restriction laws, and this is
Restricted laws.
restrictive laws, right?
Okay. Okay.
So these
Mm-hmm.
restrictive laws is telling you what you do and what
Mm-hmm.
you don't do,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what it's doing is giving you a moral code in terms of how to move,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's teaching you how to incorporate that moral code in
Mm-hmm.
your everyday walk.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a system of accountability,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So even a rites of passage, has to be is only effective, not just the planting of the seed, the moral code, right? There has to be an element that holds you accountable when you're not on code or you're not on task, right? And that accountability is a brother saying, brother, you shouldn't eat pork. Brother, you shouldn't beat your wife. Brother, you shouldn't be drinking and smoking, right? So, yes, anybody can tell you don't do these things, but if there's no reinforcement, you only have one piece of the puzzle. So, what happens with children, even if they come on a weekend or go to school, they're going into an environment that's telling you these are the things you should do to be successful, these are the things you don't do, but the follow up and reinforcement from the community is no longer intact. So we have a disconnected community that doesn't allow those things to be inculcated, right, into our walk. So then it becomes an artificial environment. And no, so why do we come out back to nature? We come back to nature because this is the grounding and rooting. It becomes not just self-care, but it becomes a reset button. Think about it. So we talk about in American history the Industrial Revolution, when people left the farms into these artificial constructs and experiments called cities, right? So everything in the city is artificial, but everything on the farm really came from the land. So when we deal with our young people, we have to create a culture that not just plants the seeds, but other members, and that's why they say it takes a village. And we say it takes a village to raise a child, but we don't really identify one, who is the village, right? And what competent person should be reinforcing those principles that this child is receiving. So now children is not like I used to play outside from sun up to sundown. I was safe in my community. I knew my boundaries. I knew certain restrictions. Some people, when the street lights came on, they had to go into the house. There was certain laws and rules that govern my street. The reality is people feel so unsafe that children are not allowed to have other adults pour into them. So whatever they get or don't get is only coming from the school or it's coming from home. But we had the church, we had the school, we had a lot of things and vehicles in our community before we became disconnected that was pouring into us. And then we had other institutions like the church, what was reinforcing the value system that the children were getting in the school, in the church, and at home. So all these things that they were receiving as a moral code from the house was reinforced at school because mom would go to school. The school was in the neighborhood. It was accessible. The worst thing that happened to black people was busing. So now mom is not, she has to work. Mom can't come up to the school and see what little Haki is doing, right? So now you're bused outside of your neighborhood historically. Then there is no church. The biggest thing that happened, the biggest disservice that happened to black people was so-called spirituality. So-called spirituality killed us because when we was in the church, we knew how to act. What do I mean? A woman knew how to be a woman. One of the first things people turned when I went into that rites of passage called the Nation of Islam, they had a thing called Muslim Girls in Training. MGT. They taught women how to cook and clean. We take for granted that there's young women being prepared to be wives. They're telling them to go to college and be successful. Nobody's telling them how to be a good wife. So how can you be a nation builder and you say I'm pro-family and the family is the building block for the black community if you're not even teaching young women in this day and time how to be wives?
Wow.
And then if you're not teaching them how to be wives, what are you teaching them how to be? Because if you're not teaching them how to be a wife, the world is going to teach them how to be a whore. The world is teaching them how to be a stallion. And it's going to be a hot girl summer every summer, right? So if all these reinforcements is how to turn up and be a hot girl and how to be a boss and how to be a damn stallion, right? Nobody's teaching them how to be a wife. And they look at people in the Nation of Islam. I told you when I went through that rites of passage called the Nation of Islam, it taught men how to be women and women excuse me, men how to be men, and women how to be women.
Right.
And we had a saying that steel sharpens steel,
Black
like
to
men
the
sharpen
basics.
men.
Men
Huh?
sharpen men. Black
So
to
we
the
gotta
basics.
go
Right.
back to the basics.
Mhm,
This ain't
mhm.
really a hard recipe.
Right.
So if we talk about how to be wives and how to be husbands,
Mhm.
what we're talking about is how to be family.
Mhm.
So if there is no family giving our children the parameters, giving them the value system on how to live in this society, then another institution will do that. And that
Right.
other institution could be the prison system.
Right.
If you're not teaching a
Right.
young man how to be a man, he already got a bunk. He's throwing
Right.
rocks at the penitentiary like,
Right.
let me in.
Right.
Why?
Right.
Because we failed to teach these young men how to be men.
Right.
So what happened? The other institutions come in.
Mhm.
And if they don't go into the institutions, they go into the
Mhm.
streets.
Right.
Why? Because a rites of passage is almost like the transition and the transformation of a caterpillar into a butterfly.
Mhm.
So sometimes if you have people that are stuck in a failed to strive, and failed to strive, meaning you never became a butterfly. You were stuck as that little furry worm. So you can't be proud being a little furry worm because you understood that in your life cycle, there was a time for you to excel. There was a time for you to grow. There was a time for you to strive to be the best that you can be.
Right.
So why are so many of our people using drugs? They're using drugs because they don't know how to cope with their failure and their lack of success. When you see everybody else on Facebook and on the internet living their best life, looking like they butterflies. Now I don't know if they butterflies, but they seem to be over in Bahrain riding camels, right?
Right.
They seem to be on yachts and living their best life.
Right.
So if I'm just a little worm and I'm seeing everybody else I went to school with excelling, living their best life, or at least perpetrating like they're living their best life. I don't know what they're living. I can't say they are. I can't say that they ain't. But what I will say is that when you begin to evaluate yourself based on a yardstick that someone else gave you,
Right.
and you find yourself not living up to those expectations, it is heartbreaking, right? It will cause you to do something damaging to yourself,
Right.
especially if no one gave you the knowledge of yourself and
Right.
taught you how important you are. So our young people have, and you may say, well, it's just a weekend or it's just a week. Many people, right? Listen, the world is not a bad place. Our nature is to do good. Most of us don't do good because no one has taught us how to do good. So if we're able, even if it's for a short period of time, to enlighten, to pass on, to inspire our young people, we should take every opportunity to do that. And we should be found doing that. My daughter's 11 years old, maybe too young to be at a leadership camp, right? But why was it important for me to bring her? It was important for her to see other young people doing it.
Right.
Because they play as her role models.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
See what's
And we have
happening.
two sharp. I mean, I'm so impressed with these two young ladies that
Oh yeah,
we have.
we should
They
bring them
13
on,
and
huh?
17. Yeah. Let me see.
Yeah.
Let me see.
So these two young ladies, and I don't know if we can get them on. One is on the principal role, and the other one is on the honor roll. Now, why is this important? So we got two young leaders here from Baltimore City, and
See if the other ones want to come on.
if you don't know, and if you're from other parts of the country, what the principal role is, that means we have a young leader here who has made straight A's. So to be on the principal role, meaning that you have maintained straight A's for more than one semester. So we got young women
I
that's
didn't know.
not only making an
You knew
honor
what the
roll.
principal role was?
Yeah.
I didn't know
That means straight A's.
I guess I wasn't
Right?
knowing none of that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, they straight A's.
Yes, right.
Yeah, they changed it. So when you're in elementary school, it's straight E's. I was like, E's is excellence. But once they reach that high school, so we have a young woman that's young girl, that's a lady that's in the 12th grade, and she's on a principal role. And if we can find her this evening, we'll try to bring her on and let her talk about what she anticipates getting out of this experience. But it's important that we, bring our young people out, give them some new and unique experiences, some experiences that they cannot,
Come on.
be able to
All right. All right.
experience in the city. Oh, so they said
No, yeah,
they
no,
just
it's
getting
okay, man.
comfortable for the
Yeah,
evening.
it's okay.
So
Uh,
we'll bring them on at a later date and time over this weekend or this week, and really share some of their experiences first and foremost. What their expectation? What do they want to get out of this
hmm
weekend? And
Right,
then
right,
circle
right.
back and talk about what did you get
hmm
out of this weekend.
Yes,
So
yes, yes,
all of
yes,
those
yes.
great things. So I'm just honored to be here
Right.
this evening, and we see that the sun is going down,
Yeah, right,
but
right, right. I
it's
don't
a
know if these
beautiful day.
mosquitoes starting to. I don't know. It
It's a
might not be
beautiful
none,
day.
but I don't see no wet parts, but it could be some. But yeah. So no, it was great, man. It's beautiful. We'll do this another one. Matter of fact, we're gonna do it from upstairs next time because we can see the.
Oh, I didn't
Like,
think
I
about
didn't
that.
think about that till now. Now
Yeah, yeah, that
we
would
only
be
could see
nice.
some parts, get a little elevation
Yeah.
on that. So, but definitely everybody check brother out. Give out your sites, and one more thing. So you work with a lot of not necessarily young people, but young adults who may
Yeah.
be in various type of trainings.
Hmm.
Need different types of assistance, right? And
Yeah.
so you advocate, for them, in terms of employment,
Hmm.
housing, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So about 3 years ago, I with a brother by the name of Dennis Assar Winkler
shout
created
out to Minister
something
Saw.
called Brothers Helping Brothers.
Yes, sir,
It
yes, sir.
started out really as an anger management,
All right,
focus
right,
on,
right, right.
men, that were dealing with anger, dealing with domestic violence. So that was our focal point, and it just kind of morphed into a men's issues group. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not just anger management, it's not just domestic violence, whatever issue you have. We do a men's group in Baltimore
Yeah, yeah.
City,
Put it up, put it up.
5525 Hartford Road, the T Not Wellness Center. So you could just call or show up any day of the week and kind of register. We do them every Wednesday from 6:30 to 8, and very empowering, very enlightening. This is for adult men over 18.
Mm,
I used to always think that I was going to work with children, but I realized that these older men need role models as well.
right,
And they
right, right.
need to
That's
be
true.
able to do some self actualization, some self reflection, and to be able to have a safe container for them to really come in with their issues, bring them on the carpet, and leave them right there.
Mm,
So, thanks to the big brother, Minister Asar, we've been doing this about 3 years strong, off and on, but we've been consistent every Wednesday for the last
oh
year,
wow. Oh, beautiful,
being
beautiful.
consistent and having a men's group. And now we are providing coaches
Mm,
for the men,
mm,
because a therapist can't do all the work. A facilitator like myself can't do all the work. So we're pairing our clients with male coaches that are accessible, much like in the drug and alcohol arena of a sponsor, where you could
mm-hmm,
just call and say, "Listen, I just need somebody to talk to," and being able to bring those services to black men to allow them to heal.
mm-hmm,
And that's where we are, just spreading light. I also work as a case manager with men in addictions as my full-time gig, and just providing services to adult men is rewarding. Sometimes it's a thankless job, but I
mm,
tell you, man, internally and intrinsically, I really like that population. And I just
mm-hmm,
graduated with a master's degree in
mm.
counseling,
Sure,
so I'm
sure,
looking forward
sure.
to getting certified as a mental health counselor and a
Mm,
licensed, you know, uh, clinical counselors, and being able to really expand some of the services that I provide. So I'm going to be here in Baltimore. You can shout me out, Curtis Warren on Facebook, and definitely, some of the things we're doing. T Not Wellness Center
mm-hmm,
on
mm-hmm.
IG as well as the
Oh yeah,
internet.
yes, yes,
So
yes, yes.
please check us out. Check out some of the things that we're doing in Baltimore City. And again, we're always willing to take this knowledge wherever we find our people, young and old. So please, if you haven't had the opportunity to come to Virginia and to Massenuten, to some of these leadership camps, and bring your children. We look forward to seeing you at a later date and time where you can actually come and experience what we're experiencing, a little bit of self care for adults and
Right,
also
right.
for the children. So we got a 7 day training. So feel free to reach out to the Success Scholar for more information about
Right.
upcoming events.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, so and we definitely wanted to make it a little entertaining and fun, so there's some different fun activities that, we're gonna have some of the young people and us engaged in. So, so we're looking forward to many different operations and opportunities. So thank you, brother, for this opportunity. We
Thank you, big brother.
put a good 40 minutes in there. So definitely go to my site, successscholarhaki.com.
Yeah, we
Oh
got the
yeah,
geese.
right, right.
We in
So
nature. We told y'all we was in nature. That's not a backdrop. That's
right,
real.
right, right, for sure. So thank y'all. So we'll definitely stay tuned in. Thank you all for joining in, or for those that's watching on a replay, push replay or type replay in so I know you saw it. Peace and blessings.